Hello everyone and welcome back. You know how I'm always preaching waste not, want not? Like, don't throw away something that still could be useful? Well, that's what today's about. We had gotten a large watermelon from a friend, because we didn't grow the big watermelons, he did. He got an overabundance, so he gave us a couple. So we had a very large watermelon. We ate the watermelon, but we saved the rind. So I'm going to show you what we can do with the rind. I still have one more watermelon from him. So I've got another recipe I can do with the other rind. So this one today is going to be making some watermelon rind pickles, basically. Let's flip you around. I'll show you the first step of making these. And then it's going to be a little while before we come back. So let's dive in. Okay guys, so this is the rind. You should already know this, but just in case you're like, what's the rind? You want to remove most of the pink, but there's still going to be some pink on there. You also want to make sure you remove all of this skin. I missed some on that one, so as I go through and cut these up to about their size, I'll remove the skin that I missed. So you're just going to cut these into like reasonable size cubes. Whatever size cubes you really want, but you just want like 1-inch cubes roughly. 1-inch sizes, because it's not going to all be cubes. But I'm going to cut those up. And the first step is to get a cup of pickling salt. I've already got a cup in here. And then roughly a gallon's worth of water. So I'm going to dissolve the salt in this quart. And then add what water I need. Because that's going to get poured into the rinds once they're cut up. And allow that to sit for 6 hours at minimum. Or overnight if that's easier for you. I almost did this overnight and I should have done it last night before going to bed, because then I'd be on next step today. But since I didn't do that, it'll be at least 6 hours today before I can come back to this. But let's dive in and make these pickles. So there, now that one is prepared. There's like no pink on it. So we're just going to kind of cut that. And then we're just going to cut this one at least in half because they're kind of a little bit long. So we're just going to get all these cut like that. Most of them should not have skin left because I did get a lot of skin off. It was a process, I will say that. There were times I was like, are these really worth it? But, again, price of food is going up. If you're hungry, having food in the cabinet is going to be goal right now. It's just not that easy to afford a lot of the stuff at the store anymore. So, snacking-wise, meal-wise, it's nice to be able to make your own. So if anything that you can make into food from your garden while you're able to grow the garden, you should be doing. You should be saving everything that's possible out there instead of letting it go to waste. So we're going to cut all these up, get them into the salt water brine, and we'll come back in 6 hours. So guys, after 6 hours of sitting in the fridge overnight in the salt water bath, basically, you're going to transfer, after draining and rinsing, transfer those rinds into a pot with water, and you're going to cook it for 20 minutes. This is step basically 2, 3, whatever you want to classify it as. You're going to cook it for 20 minutes, and then you're going to continue on with the process. So right now our rinds are boiling. They're going to get turned down, so they're simmering for 20 minutes. And then we'll come back to it once that's done. Once you're done cooking the rinds for the 20 minutes, you're going to start your brine, which is going to be 2 cups of white vinegar, 7 cups of sugar, and then in a tea bag or a cheesecloth, you're going to combine your spices, which is going to be 1 tablespoon of allspice, 1 tablespoon of cloves, 1/4 teaspoon of mustard seed, and 3 cinnamon sticks. And then you're just going to get this up to a boil, dissolve the sugar. Once it's boiling, you're going to let it simmer for 10 minutes. And then you're ready for the next step. After 10 minutes, you put your rinds in with the brine and simmer it, which mine won't simmer, it wants to boil, until you get translucent, which is essentially where we're at now, where it's kind of see-through, and then you're ready to can it. Once they are ready to go, you're going to fill up your jars with the watermelon rinds and then pour juice over it to about a 1/2 inch of headspace. Wipe your rims, make sure there's nothing on those rims, and then you're going to put your lids and bands on fingertip tight so it can go into the water bath canner. Now your flats do not need to be heated up anymore, according to Ball. If you do heat them up, don't bring them to a boil, just heat them up. And what they mean by fingertip tight is you put your ring on and you turn it as much as it will freely before it starts to spin like that. That's fingertip tight. I usually do a small crank after just because that's my way of doing it. But these are ready to go into the canner now. Now I did forget to mention that before you put these flats on after filling the jars, make sure you take the rubber debubbler or a butter knife, careful with a butter knife though, and go along the edges so you can remove the air bubbles before you put the lids on. And then these are going to go into the hot water bath canner. It's a water bath canning procedure for 10 minutes at a boil. So once it starts boiling, that's when you start the timer. And it'll be 10 minutes. And I hate when I do stuff like that. Let me fix my mistake here, but we'll be back. So once your jars are in the canner, make sure they're covered by at least 1 inch of water. And let it come back up to a boil. Once it's boiling, you start your timer. The lid will be on there. 10 minutes at a rolling boil. And then they are done. What a process. So guys, once you are able to remove your jars from the canner, you're going to set them out on a towel or a blanket. Something that's going to help keep the heat from going from extreme heat to extreme cold too fast so you don't shock your jars and crack them. Let them sit out for 24 hours. Once 24 hours has passed, you're able to now check your seals. You're going to remove the bands. Do not store them with the bands, guys. That runs risk of not only causing your seal to prematurely break, but it also runs the risk of possibly causing a false seal because it could unseal, but then if right conditions present, it could reseal itself and you would never know. So then you're going to check. Make sure you can pick up your jar by the lid, and the lid is not going to come off, and make sure this middle button is down. If you hear any pinging of a middle button, it is not down. Check all of them, label them, date them, put them on your shelf, and they're good for at least a year. Ball now says 18 months. Some people have ate things 5, 6, 7 years later. Obviously, nutrition value is going to go down the longer it waits. But happy canning, guys. Hope this helped you out. And we'll catch you on the next one.